presentation. Okay. I stand before you as not as a technologist, but as someone with A-levels in biology, chemistry, and as Colin said, chartered accountant. Let me just take you through what we're going to cover. I'll do a brief introduction in a minute of the topic. We'll look at high-value markets, characterise what they really look like, what does it mean, how we might generate wealth from new technologies, some of the limitations and barriers to commercialisation. I've got one or two comments about how we might take this forward and break down some of those barriers. Have a little session on investment and finance, and then we'll summarise. Sorry. As I said, I'm not a technologist. Okay, we can try. So, FW Stevens Technology and Innovation as a consulting practice. We're associated members of Institute of Mining Metals and Materials, and we specialise in emerging technologies, providing active management and, where we can, money. I'm going to introduce a few of the projects that we're focused on currently, which I think are right in this sort of high-value market space. I'd also just like to acknowledge that as part of my preparation for today, I have been dipping into TSB material, but I don't apologise for that. I actually quite like it, and I think it's quite focused. I think it may just help provide some context for the speakers that follow me, and also for some of the Q&A. And I did like this quote: people don't buy technologies, they buy what technologies do for them. I think it's quite defining. Let me just introduce you to one of our first projects, which we think is right in the high-value market space. This is three-dimensional architectural metal forming to automotive quality, precision and finish. Bring together design and manufacturing influence, and it's very much focused at the top end of architecture and construction for the iconic buildings that we're seeing going up around the world. So let's just look at some of the characteristics of high-value markets. Some people might be surprised at this, I'm sure you're not, but the UK is the sixth largest manufacturer, representing a good proportion of GDP, exports and employees. And I think we know, what we have to do now as we find that barriers to trade are lowering, transport costs are lowering, communications is having an impact on how we do business. So if we're going to remain competitive, we have to change the way we work. And I think again, we're in competition with these low-cost manufacturing locations. So how do we differentiate ourselves in the UK and other high-cost economies? So it is very much moving from these traditional sectors of manufacturing high-value, knowledge-intensive goods and services. We're not just producing a product, but now we're looking at how we produce and service that product over its lifetime. The business model is changing very much towards the specialisation and the outsourcing model. If we don't need to own the process internally, we outsource it, we move it on. What we're also seeing is in the bigger picture that ownership structures are developing. We're getting much bigger players in the market out there. And of course, to remain competitive, we know we have to innovate. I think one other comment I'd just like to make is not only manufacturing that is high value, there's also the service sector, and that shouldn't be forgotten. And there is actually a large innovation agenda around that. If I just take sort of professional services and specialist consultancy, I take you back to the 3D architecture. One of the specialist consultancies we're working with there is an Austrian company that specialises in panelisation. This is a high-level mathematical analysis of surface areas of three-dimensional building envelopes, and it is very much focused on that sort of high-value added space. So I think services and manufacturing can sit together in this sort of high-value space quite neatly. Let me introduce you to one of our projects. This is in the space of powder metallurgy, net shape and near net shape manufacturing. So where we're manufacturing extruder wear parts for the food, polymer, pharma applications, we're taking some of the technology, material science into aerospace, oil and gas services, automotive components, etc. What we're doing here is we've got sort of unique and novel alloys being developed, metallic and composite structures. We have functional structuring of these materials into the net and near shape components, optimising some material usage. So there's a touch of sort of sustainability and environmental issue there.